Crypto scandals, they just never go away. It seems like every few months we have another big thing going on, like something imploding, an exchange going under, more things going bankrupt, and that's nothing changing today. Now we have Prime Trust having a giant hole in their balance sheet and kind of having a lot of fraud going on, apparently. They've kind of getting exposed here for a lot of shady things going on, and it's only probably going to get worse from here. But this is some of the filings here that people are sharing on Twitter. One of the biggest things here, so this talks about, them and their wallets from the Fireblocks platform and things. But the biggest thing that I think caused a major problem for them is this right here, where it says, in January 2021, Prime reintroduced specific legacy wallet forwarding addresses to customers. Understood that Prime did so because of limitations associated with creating new wallets within the Fireblocks platform. And then talking about, however, it is understood that on or about December 2021, Prime discovered that it was unable to access the legacy wallets and the cryptocurrency therein. So basically, they moved for this a bunch of Bitcoin to legacy wallets and then lost access to those legacy wallets. I think in this itself was somewhere around $80 million that they moved in these wallets and lost, which also means that in 2021, the price of Bitcoin was, I think, a lot higher than it is now. So it was actually more than $80 million because that's in today's price. But this is crazy that these guys were supposed to be a pretty big custodian or a regulated custodian. They're supposed to know what they were doing. And they actually worked with a bunch of crypto companies and Bitcoin only companies to do their custodying for them. And it turns out that they simply lost $80 million by moving wallets and losing access to those wallets. And if we look at the hole that they have and the amount of money that they're missing, see, this Prime Trust owes customers $85.6 million in fiat currency, but only has $2.9 million. And then for digital currency, they owe $69.5 million to their clients, but only has $68.6 million. And these numbers only get worse. I mean, obviously you see the big hole here, 85 million to 2 or 3 million, which is obviously you got an $80 million plus hole in fiat that you're missing. But the digital currency one gets even worse, where you can see this, it's like, okay, it's pretty close, right? 69.5 million, 68.6 million. But if you look a little deeper, you can see that this is what their other currency, digital currency holdings look like. 88% are in digital currency. Prime Trust holds is audio. So some altcoin called audio, you can see this stuff. Basically, the vast majority of it is in this audio coin. Never heard of it, right? But simply, obviously, that's 60 or 61.5 million. So of this 68, 61 is in this altcoin called audio. And if you go here and look at it, this is the altcoin, 18 cents, and you can zoom out on this thing. Who knows? Like, I don't even know what this is. Yeah, it looks like a massive just grift, pump and dump in the bull market all the way down to where it is now. But the part that's worse is that you look over here to volume, where it says 12 million. So basically, that's 12 million with 25% up on volume because of this news coming out, and people, I think, are panic selling this stuff because they're expecting a huge dump coming. But that basically means even at 12 million, they have 61.5 million, which means you will get nowhere near that value that you have. You have this here saying that you have 61.5 million in this coin. There's only 25 million daily volume, and it's actually less than that on a normal day. So you're not getting anywhere near $61.5 million out of this, which means that this hole that looks like it's not that bad when you look at it is actually terrible. It's just as bad as this $80+ million hole. This is probably a $40-50 million hole at best. So obviously you get all those together, they're looking at minimum an $82-3 million hole to like $150 million hole. So this is pretty bad for them. And when you look into different things that's going on and legally and stuff, and I've been listening to Twitter spaces of people that are much smarter than me talking about this, that know what they're talking about. Apparently, the thing that could happen going on is that people or regulators go after the kind of businesses that were with Prime Trust, like things like Strike and a bunch of other businesses that use them as a custodian, and claw back funds from those guys, because they move a lot of these guys like Strike moved their customers' Bitcoin from Prime Trust to somewhere else within like the last few weeks. And, they must have known maybe something was going on and something wasn't quite right. But also means if you are on Strike, you should probably withdraw your Bitcoin and make sure that you take self-custody of your Bitcoin. That's the biggest lesson here. Do not leave Bitcoin on exchanges anywhere. Don't trust anyone. Trust yourself. Bank yourself. Put it in cold storage. Have your keys. Not your keys, not your coins, will always and forever be relevant. But especially now, because these clawbacks could be a thing where we could be looking down this thing happening where you could get your money clawed back. Even if you withdraw it, you technically still can get it clawed back, but it'd be a lot more effort, and it's less likely that the regulators will come after like individual people to try and get their money back, especially if you don't have like a significant amount of Bitcoin or anything. But make sure that you're self-custodying. That is something that is always the lesson. Every time something like this happens in crypto, the lesson is self-custody your Bitcoin. Do not trust anyone. That's the big message. Everyone even sharing on Twitter, trust no one, not exchanges, not stablecoins, and Bitcoin. Self-custody. Can't say it better. You have to self-custody and only have your keys. Only trust yourself, right? That's the only person you can really trust. You don't want third-party exposure. That's the whole point of Bitcoin. Self-custody. People are learning this lesson time and time again, and it seems like it's never sinking in. And the fraud here gets worse, where obviously we know they have these holes in their balance sheet and everything, but because we know that they lost access to these legacy wallets of somewhere around $80 million for this Bitcoin stuff they moved over, lost access to. If you look at this right here that has it outlined, saying it is understood that from December 2021 to March 2022, to satisfy the withdrawals from the inaccessible legacy wallets, Prime purchased additional digital currency using customers' money from its omnibus customer accounts. So, what does that mean? Basically, they took money from their customers' deposits and used it to buy Bitcoin to have the withdrawals. If someone wanted to withdraw Bitcoin, so say someone wanted to withdraw 1 Bitcoin from their platform off to whatever wallet, they don't have that Bitcoin. So what they did is go into customers' deposits, take out the money for how much a Bitcoin is, go buy a Bitcoin, and then use that to settle that withdrawal. And now they're getting caught with that, and that's huge fraud. You obviously cannot do that. You can't take customers' deposits and try and settle withdrawals for your mistake where you lost money. They're supposed to be regulated. They should have went to regulators when they were below the 1-to-1 asset ratio, been taken over and somehow, tried to fix something. But instead, they tried to cover this up, kind of did what FTX did, take customers' money and try and plug this hole as long as they could, and now they've run out of time. So yet another crypto company goes down. This one actually might be much worse than something like an FTX, because FTX was offshore, it can be written off as that was always extremely risky, but Prime Trust was supposed to be regulated. It was US based, US regulated. It was supposed to be up to these high standards. But now the regulators have egg on their face. They look dumb for allowing this to happen and operate, not catching anything, and then letting it collapse in the way that it is. So the result from this will probably be heavy-handed regulation, because they look dumb right now as what's going on with Prime Trust, as FTX was massive, much bigger, but they can write it off as it's offshore. Prime Trust is a US-based, US-regulated company. They can't write that off as anything. So heavy-handed regulation and trying to not look dumb is probably the thing coming. This is the latest crypto scandal. I'm sure it won't be the last. We'll see more things implode and more problems come up. But for now, we'll have to wait and see what happens. That's going to do it for this video. As always, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in my next video.